Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR558. It's NXT Stand and Deliver. I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod. It is Monty. How's it going, Monty?
Doing great. In the middle of WrestleMania weekend, been one of those. I don't know. It's just always a special time, even if people have polarizing opinions about WWE year round. It's always at the end of the day, WWE is responsible for probably the best period of time for wrestling fans, whether it's because of the promotions that all go to one city and do their thing, or it's the three events or stuff like Stand and Deliver and the two WrestleMania shows. So it's always cool to be here and talk about wrestling around this time of year.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, like I said, it is WrestleMania night two. I mean, what quick thoughts on night one? Of course, we're going to do a review next weekend, but how did you think it go? Because it was kind of a mixed bag, really.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think I'm higher on the show than probably a lot of people were. I definitely have my criticisms, and like you said, we can get into more of that next week. But I don't think it was as bad as some people say. But I also don't think it's touching last year's night one per se, or I don't think it was like I said, just some insane show, something we never seen. But I do think it was a good show to a solid to a really good show, which is I don't think I can be mad at it. So I don't know. It depends on where you stand on certain things. But we, like you said, we can get into that deeper as we talk about the show in its entirety. But I did come away satisfied overall, so I can't be too mad.
Yeah, without doubt. But it's great to be here. And again, like I said, it's so exciting with WrestleMania Night 2. But we have got NXT Stand and Deliver. We've got 3 episodes of NXT before we get there. So let's get to it then. April 1st, the double champion Stephanie Vaquer opened this week's show, joined NXT General Manager Ava in the squared circle for a blockbuster announcement. Now, Premier is relinquishing the Women's North American Championship, an attempt to push the women's division forward and ensure the title is defended regularly, as long as she gets to pick her opponent for the NXT Women's Championship at Stand and Deliver. Jada Parker, Jordan Grace interrupted, and after some back and forth, they engaged in a brawl before being separated by security. Grace tossed the security guard over the top rope and on to the others. I mean, this is a great way to start, and we talked on the last update, Monty, about what would happen with the Women's North American Championship. We should just waited until the next week.
Yeah, it's funny how wrestling kind of works out like this sometimes. Sometimes you have to, wait till the last minute, get slow burns, and sometimes you immediately get the answers to your questions. So yeah, man, it was interesting though. I don't know. I heard both sides of the basically the debate about the whole double championship and having Stephanie kind of have to give it up. So I get some of the backlash about it because it does make you wonder like why do we do this? But at the same time, I think at the end of the day, you can't really you never can take away the achievement. One and then two, I don't mind this per se because like we talked about a lot on our NXT updates. The women's division right now in NXT is as deep as I think probably any. If you really think about any, not just women's divisions in history, but just like any division. I don't know if I ever have seen like such a focus on so many different types of women in different ways, telling different stories. So I can't be mad at that because I was wondering how could Stephanie carry the load, and like you said, we kind of got our answer immediately. So was I kind of hoping that she was, we could do something special and have Stephanie carry a little while, maybe, but with a women's roster that deep, do we really need a double champion?
Yeah, exactly, without a shadow of a doubt. And the pre-tape promo, Trick Williams continued to flash hints of an impending heel turn as he talked trash on Obafemi and Javon Evans. Backstage, women's locker room argued over who could cash in tickets to Stand and Deliver, and the ladder match determined the new women's North American champion in arena. Zaria and Lash Legend took to Square Circle for the night's first qualifier. Lash gave everything, but Zaria delivered a spear that earned herself a victory. And in a pre-tape vignette, the D'Angelo family discussed Dark State before the Don asked Chandler Stacks Lorenzo if he can trust him. The underboss confirmed he could. Well, everything's good then. Back in the arena, Hank and Tank, a fresh off backstage coaching from Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy. Squared off for no quarter catch crews, Tavian Heights and Miles Bourne. Another week, another crushing defeat for Hank and Tank. Quite a strong effort from the fan favourites. Bourne picked up the win for his team. But Hank and Tank look better with their tops on. And Monty, there's not many. I mean, this is the thing maybe they have to work on a little bit. I don't want to see them tops off. I'm sorry, it does nothing for me.
I mean, I guess I don't really think too much about it. I do think it's interesting that that seems to be like a part of the character of their character so far in a way, in a sense. So I do think that's kind of interesting that they're kind of going with that being part of the gimmick. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm indifferent. I mean, at this point, I've seen so many different types of body types doing that thing that I'm not. I'm indifferent. I mean, Hank, we talked about Hank up about it. I'm pretty sure a long time ago. So my opinion hasn't really changed there. So it is what it is. It is funny though, like you said, it's interesting. I don't know how many teams you would prefer to just wrestle in their jerseys or whatever the type of thing that they're wearing. So their t-shirts. So I don't know. I don't really think too much about it, but I definitely understand your point.
Yeah, about that. And the culling of four legs with one chair. It's kind of a downgrade from four roots and one tree. I kind of wonder what's next, but I'm sure we will get there. Trick Williams cut an impressive promo for calling out Obafemi. Instead, Javon Evans interrupted. And he can say he can relate to Williams because he wants a number one contender spot. That Trick battle for. Williams took exception to that, saying carrying the title and defending it are two different things. He's one on one. Trick, you don't know who the hell you is, do you? Evans asked. You ain't Trick Williams. You're Carmelo Hayes. I mean, man, talk about. I mean, Monty, man, that cut deep. You know what I'm saying?
It was brilliant. I just thought it was very poetic. I mean, Trick literally, like you can look up the promo word for word, the stuff that Mello was kind of explaining why he turned on him in the first place and why he was who he was, or how he looked at Trick. And Trick basically gave Javon the exact same promo word for word, and then Javon kind of turned it on like you don't sound like Trick Williams right now. You sound like Mello, and it was true. It's one of them situations where it's like you have become the thing that you battled against, the thing that tried to hold you back, and the bitterness that seems to be taking over Trick at this time, the bitterness because he lost his belt and let's just be honest, like even the first reign, it wasn't probably what I'm sure he was expecting, and me as a fan, we talked about this. It wasn't much what we were expecting, so that's gonna make it, whether it's personal, whether it's legitimately like that or not. His character being bitter makes perfect sense, So I kind of look at it that way. But again, it was great. It was really well done. And I thought that Javon taking that, and even Mello even kind of had to acknowledge, like, I was always right, on Twitter. So that was cool too that they kind of paid back to that. And it definitely cut deep just from a fact of what we know Trap Trick and Mello, how their relationship fell apart. But it just, to me, it's one of those moments where I felt like you should too, James, because you've been here to watch week to week, just like I have. I felt it's one of those times where you get vindicated for being a guy, being somebody who's been watching consistently. You know what I mean? It was one of those.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was a deep cut too. Like not only was it truth to it and it worked, it was just also like one of the things that, yeah, you remember that? Like, this is the same thing Trick had to go through, and he's kind of holding Javon back in a similar fashion. So, yeah, man, you can't ask for much more than that. And for somebody who I think that if it is somewhere Javon hadn't, I'm not gonna say needs to improve, but he hasn't really been able to. He haven't really consistently been able to prove himself on the mic. I don't think he's bad on the mic. I'm just saying compared to where he is in the ring, the mic would be the area, or the presence on the mic would probably be the area you would ask a young guy like him to work on. I thought this promo was excellent.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Femi finally made his presence felt, but Evans issued a challenge, running both. Like I said, he was second away from winning at deadline and taking the NXT title. Ava appeared and officially announced the triple threat match for Stand and delivered. Dark State interrupted and a brawl and hit the ring, jumping on Evans and Femi for laying out Williams when assisted pop up power bomb. Maybe there was something about the hesitation and the beatdown. that maybe felt like a show. I mean, you've been saying this, Monty, haven't you, about Dark State and Trick needed to be attacked because he hadn't been touched recently.
Yeah, it was so obvious. So I felt like it was like you said, one or two things. They finally was like, oh no, you can get this two trick, or it's something to like distract away from the fact that Trick may still be involved. But either way it go, like you said, it was something that just seemed like it had to happen because of like I said, I think as a matter of fact, we kind of can see with a lot of the stuff Triple H or WWE has said over the week leading up to WrestleMania. They pay attention to online whether whether they like the online criticism or whatever or not, they see it. So I'm sure Sean, I'm sure NXT, booking who's helping Sean book. I'm sure they saw a lot of people point out that hold on, why is the Dark State avoiding Trick? So I thought it was like you said, something that needed to happen. We needed to see that Trick was also someone who could be a victim or like I said, either way it goes, it's something that was necessary for the story.
Yeah, without a doubt. Inaugural Women's North American Champion Kalani Jordan battled Roxanne Perez for the right to head to Las Vegas. Perez attempted to pop rocks, but Jordan narrowly dodged it and delivered split leg moonsault to secure the win and join Zaria in the ladder match at Stand and Deliver. This was maybe a little bit surprised, but they the right choices.
You saying Zarya or are you just saying just Kalani?
Well, but either or, really. I mean, because like I said,
Either
Lash
way.
came up short, didn't she?
Right. Yeah, yeah. It was unfortunate. I'm always like rooting for Lash. But like I said, Lash is in a team, so I kind of like I'm not really that surprised, but it was still a decent contest. And Zarya getting a shot makes sense to me based on like I said, her presentation and where we kind of think her trajectory could be in the future of this division. Challenging for a single title, even if it is a ladder match, I can see that. But the Roxanne Kalani one is definitely one of those ones that was, like you said, a shock. Although I wasn't disappointed in it, because to me, Roxanne, as much as I don't mind her competing in a match, a ladder match for the title or whatever, it just to me, Roxanne at this point is just so above that. And no, and that's not that. I don't think the North American title would be a downgrade. It'd be another feather in her cap, obviously. But I don't know. I wasn't too mad at that. Now I do think at the end of the day, Kalani is just being like I just mentioned, one of the most decorated, one of the best, one of the strongest booked women in NXT over the last pretty much her entire run, but really over the last year. So that's still a cool achievement, even if it was just to qualify for this match for Kalani.
Yeah, without a doubt. Fraction want to be friends like Hank and Tank, and a new tag team, Swipe Away from the Balls, challenged them. The NXT North American Championship at stake in the night's main event as the Cullen Sean Spears defended against Ricky Saints. Spears did not come along low as Izzy Dame, Brooks Jensen, and Nico Vance seconded him at ringside. It was Dame whose presence would be felt first as she said Spears, the told for him to use on Saints, which he did, but luckily only for two. Jensen and Vance both interfered and the challenger cleared them out, dropping each with a spear, who was delivering one to the champion, dropping it with a Rochambeau, and your new NXT North American champion is Ricky Saints. But the championship victory was cut short when All Ego Ethan Page attacked and delivered the twisted grin to end the show. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
The match was cool. It's pretty good match. Even though I mean, I wouldn't say it was like the most compelling stuff, but it was a nice moment. It's kind of funny because I don't know if I said it as a joke or in passing, but I was like, how long can we expect Sean Spears to even be allowed to have this belt? Because we kind of knew Ricky would be coming for it, and for it to kind of happen that fast and not even on stand and deliver or something like that, I think is kind of telling of the actual viewpoint of a Sean Spears. I mean, the way he won it is also kind of telling of that, but it's still interesting to say. It's still kind of funny how that worked out for him. But what I will say is that having Ethan Page come out after the match and attacking, kind of setting up. Okay, no, this is really what we want you guys to focus on going into Stand and Deliver. This feud is I thought was cool because it immediately not only set up the match and the feud, but I just think that is more like because like would you want a rematch with Sean Spears or or something like that? Like no, like this was something that I thought we could all get more excited about going into Stand and Deliver. So, overall, I thought this was all pretty good, but it was kind of funny to see Sean Spears to go from like seemingly being important to, yeah, now, all right, we don't even want you or your faction on the card.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and again, Ricky Saints I think beats Ethan Page's record for quickest man to win a championship. So I mean, there you go. We move on to Impact April 4th, just because NXT slash legend and Jakara Jackson defeated Spitfire. That's Danny Luna and Jodie Fret. Tessa Blanchard with NXT's JC Jane and Jasmine Nix. I couldn't think of a worse team, if I'm fair. They defeated Knockouts World Champion Masa Slamovich, Zaya Brookside, and Lee Ying Lee. And Kazarian has held the Call Your Shot trophy since Bound for Glory, which is in October. People might not know this. It's like the money in the bank, you know. And he finally decided to cash in at Rebellion, which is a big pay-per-view for Impact at the end of this month, only for Ethan Page to show up. And he has been added to the match in a triple threat. This might have something to do with the rumours that Joe Hendry might be injured. But it's weird, though, as we've seen Page concentrating on Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver, but will have an Impact or TNA title shot at the end of the month, Monty. So, I mean, it's looking good for Page at the moment.
Well, he's booked and busy, I guess is one way to look at it. But also, I think to me that didn't confirm anything as far as the match for Ricky, but it did definitely make me consider like, oh, okay, Ethan's gonna be busy, so we'll see. Just how serious about taking out Ricky he could be while he has his plate full dealing with Impact stuff. But I don't know about Ethan's original run. He wasn't like he never won the world title. I know the Impact world title kind of had gets passed around. Ethan is not a former champion, is he?
No, he's a tag team the North with Josh
Yeah, I
Alexander.
know he
That's
was there.
kind
I
of,
know he won a tag team.
and
Okay,
then
cool.
his last kind of Impact appearances was him fighting himself as like this kung fu master. So again, he's had issues. So it's quite surprising
Right.
to see him back, considering he kind of trashed the place when he left for AEW. But that's
Yeah,
wrestling.
I'm just gonna say. Hey, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Sorry.
That is literally modern day wrestling. That is where we at right now.
We'll move back to good old NXT April 8th. Jordan Grace versus Jada Parker. Stephanie came out to watch Grace take on Parker up close so she could see her potential challenger. Parker ended up hitting Stephanie at ringside, and then Steph accidentally hit Jordan. You know how it goes. It caused a DQ. The opponents tried to take out Stephanie until Julia made the save. Then out of nowhere, Julia attacked and took out the champion to end the segment. Looks like all the women want to shot the champion, but Monty, Hill Julia, man, you've told me stories.
Yeah, man, and I think the we've only scratched the surface, depending on how far WWE will allow her to take it. I don't even think we so far that we even seen it. But yeah, this is a little bit more of what it is. She can be brutal, like I said, throwing headbutts. I would like them to let her start pile driving girls through tables like she used to, but I don't know if they'll let her go as far as she used to. She made a lot of her Joshi colleagues, you know, cry out in pain. You could just look up some of even in the press conferences in Stardom, the stuff she would do to some of those girls they're legendary. So I don't know how much of that, but this is definitely more of the. She's always going to be beautiful, but this is definitely tapping into some more of that madness that they're talking about. So it'd be nice to see how far they let her go. I'm at least hoping, like, even if she don't get to be as physical as she used to be, I'm at least hoping they allow her to be, kind of like not maybe not. I don't want to be like a carbon copy of anybody, but EO when she was allowed to change characters
Mm.
was allowed to really lean into that crazy side of her. And I think Julia can do a little bit of that, even if it's going to be, but it would be completely different. She's not like going to be putting trash cans over her head and jumping and flicking on people, but she will be able to be a legitimate badass and a threat. And I think that's what I kind of want to see more of with her. And I think that was the most exciting part of it was like not only did she return, but she returned with a new attitude. No friends. I like that. I like that energy from Julia, and I think that's the way it should be. Friendship was cool, but I lost my championship that way, so it's really only logical to attack the next situation. To attack
Mm.
or try to get your championship back in a more aggressive and more natural way. Because again, I don't know exactly how much NXT, how far they're gonna let her go, but she is literally more in her element as a heel, especially since Stephanie is taking off with extreme popularity and seem to be so beloved. I kind of think that the fans they did kind of make the choice for her, but at the same time, it's actually perfect that way. If you see what I'm trying to say, because Julia is so much better in that style to me. But yeah, man, I think this is only the beginning. Hopefully, we'll be allowed to see her lean into it even more as time goes on in NXT. I also want to say too that I'm wondering, like, was it an injury or was it visa issues? Like now it feels more like visa
Mm,
issues, you know, because
yeah.
she's back so fast. So I don't know exactly what happened, but she's back and right back in the title picture where she belongs.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's interesting. Like I said, we talked about injuries, but like I said, to come back and be on the live shows and then to be ready for stand and deliver, I don't know, you know. But again, it's going to work out for us. What's not going to work out, though, is having to deal with the newest tag team from Evolve, Ricky Smokes and Brad Baylor. They are called Swipe Away from the Balls. Unfortunately, they came up short against Fraxium, but they made Grayson Waller and fucking Austin Theory feel like the Road Warriors or some shit like that. Do you know what I mean? Or Hardy Boys, maybe a little bit more recent.
Wow. Fair enough, though. Fair enough. I mean, I don't know. I tried to give him some grace because I haven't got a chance to watch a lot of Evolve, but I do know it's actually some decent talent that is working in Evolve. So I tried to give him a chance, but yeah, I mean, they were in there with the best, and when you can't, it's hard to look forward to it to in a sense when you think about how Action and Fraction have been able to kind of be good performers pretty much with anybody. So, uh, this did turn into a situation where it's like, well, let's see what they got. And generally, I wasn't like you said, I wasn't too over the moon with them, but at the same time, they didn't offend me either. So it's like we'll
Oh, they
see.
offended me.
Yeah, they obviously offended yeah, but at the end of the day, I think indifference is a little bit worse than that. So
Yeah, no, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
at least they left some type of mark on you, so that you feel like insulting them. But
Mm.
they weren't that memorable to me. So yeah,
Yeah, people will be like, well, they're doing their jobs if you don't like them. I'll be like, it's completely different. Thank you very much.
right.
Yeah. There was a spot in the standard level ladder match for the North American Championship when Jasmine Nix took on Sol Ruka. Ruka hit the Soul Snatcher to win as Henley and Jane looked on in frustration, what they viewed as a missed opportunity. Hank and Tank lost to Brooks Jensen and Nico Vance. The Profits tried to fire up Hank and Tank after. Ricky Saints called out Ethan Page to talk about why he was attacked, but Lexus King showed up instead. Eddie Thorpe joined them and said North American title is his birthright. And then Wesley came out and said he wanted a shot. Page showed up and dropped Saints with a cutter. And you got to think, I like Wesley, I like Lexus King and Eddie Thorpe. Just do what Page is doing. That'll get you a title shot in this day and age. We've seen it before. Just stay out the champion. Um,
Yeah.
but again, it wasn't too bad. Lee was still the ring take on Yoshiki and Amora, and Wesley got the win. So his first win since turning heel, Monty. There you go. It's working for him now.
I don't know about that. I would say working for him. I think I saw him talk about the other day that it's another stand and deliver that he missed the card. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when you've been in NXT for a couple, 3 to 4 years, and then you starting to rack up stand and delivers you missed. I don't know about that, but hey, good luck. I still like Wesley, but I don't know, man. I'm starting to feel like we're on the Cameron Grimes side of that career right now, and I don't want us to be, but that's what it's starting to feel like. They might, what, he might need to grow his hair out and just come back doing the old Wesley gimmick like nothing happened.
Exactly. That
Yeah,
one's
that
3
never
and 0 at
happened.
stand and deliver. That one's fine. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
Just like, yeah, just
right,
come
right,
back.
man.
Izzy Damon, Ren Sinclair fought in the singles match. Lucky us. The members of the teams were ringside. Dame scored the win with a power bomb. Nobody interfered, and it sounded announcers were surprised the match was over so quickly. Oh well. And then we've got Williams, Evans, and Femi versus Dark State. Evans was out first, but his entrance was interrupted by Williams, whose entrance was interrupted by Femi. Monty, we'll talk about the match in a second, but even that just shows you the kind of one-upmanship. And again, it's over here is a sketch where it's like, I look up to him, but I look down to him, and that's exactly what's going on with Oba, Trick, and Javon, and it's even with the entrances now.
Yeah, that's what makes this all so brilliant. It's just like you said, we got like a step ladder situation here when it comes down. Like Over's looking down at that Trick, and Trick's looking down at Javon. You know what I mean? Or like you say, vice versa. So it's kind of cool how they're doing that. But I do love the investment there too. Like at the end of the day, I am convinced. That's what I like the most about what we have going on. I'm convinced that the young OG believes what he's saying, and his angles, and the same thing can be said for. I'm more than convinced that Obafemi is who he is, and even with Trick Williams, the determination, the position that he is in, I believe that he is desperate and he's feeling the pressure, and that he feels like he belongs back at the top of the mountain. So yeah, man, I think that's the one thing about it, man, the conviction. Like, how the hell are the fans gonna have belief or care about it if it don't seem like the talent cares? And it's one thing I will say, all three of them seem to be really into this.
Yeah, without doubt. Well, all three men would rather be fighting each other than their opponent's Dark State, but
Right.
we saw them hit in the ring immediately and start brawling with their opponents. It was Dion Lennox, Cutler James, and Saquon Sugars. There's no way I'm going to remember it, so hey. Three men compete for Dark State. It was Osiris Griffin sat this one out. Poor bastard. The Babyface were hesitant to tag each other because it cleared a big challenge on their hands, but it still argued at every turn. Femi Williams ended up getting to a fight that led to Dark State picking up the win by pinning a vulnerable Evans. I mean, again, Stacks then invited Dark State to the parking lot next week. I mean, come on now. But I mean, what were your thoughts in this? Because Dark State kind of had to get the win because it it's not been great, has it really?
Yeah, and then we're still in the early stages of it. Like at the end of the day, they got a lot to prove, in my opinion. And I think so. They definitely deserve to get the win because that's a part of establishing a precedence for who they're supposed to be and who they are. And again, they're going to get they're aiming for the top. So you kind of have to, in my opinion, showcase yourself and not only get a victory, but like to be taken seriously. They couldn't just get jobbed out here by the champion, and they couldn't get especially, and then also you couldn't get jobbed out by people who we know were, like you said, would rather be fighting each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I thought it was well done, and I do think that at the end of the day, by the way, so not, as much as I'm not really a fan so far of what they're doing, even though I don't hate it either. I'm just waiting this way. It's one of the situations, and this is probably what you don't want when you have a faction that's actually trying to, take over. I guess to make them, I guess that's what the goal is. Because I told you that's my biggest problem. I don't necessarily know what the goal is right now, but I do like Shaquan Sugars. Shaquan Sugars, we might have to watch. We'll see. I don't know how long he's gonna be involved in this dark state stuff, but he's the one. He might be the one. But I'll wait it out. But anyway, yeah. So like I said, good for Dark State. Good start. I'm not threatened at all by the parking lot, but let's see what happens. Let's
Well,
see
it is
what
the
happens.
NXT car park, isn't it? So who knows? I'm a bit behind with Impact because they've just stupid. They keep having shows like almost every week, Monty. I will catch up and I will let everybody know on the next update if Ethan Page was successful. Because again, Monty, the NXT and TNA relationship is great. I love it, and whatever it is, it is. But we are still waiting for the first NXT person to win a TNA title, or vice. I mean, that's got to happen soon, surely. I think it does.
Oh, sorry, I was speaking on mute, but
That's right.
yeah,
Don't panic me like this, all right?
yeah, speaking on mute. But you're right though. Until it happens, you have to wonder just how much of a relationship this is. Like is this just a situation where uh TNA just wants people that they're not contracting as talent just to come fill in some holes for them right now, or is vice versa? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. But I will say that because of the work he's done in NXT, and I know he, like you said, I know that history isn't necessarily great with Impact, but maybe because of his hard work, Ethan Page could be potentially a good choice to be that first person to be a NXT talent who becomes champion.
The craziest one I heard was someone said to me about Kaz winning it because he wants to face AJ Styles, or AJ Styles wants to fight him, and that's going to be a match. I mean, if it happens, it would be great, but I mean, we're a long way off from AJ Styles going back to TNA. But
Yeah.
maybe not. Who knows? Like we said, it is the weird world of wrestling.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I'm pretty sure at least one off, but yeah, I don't know about doing like an entire like championship program type of deal. I don't know about that, but yeah, like you say, you never know. It'd be interesting to see.
And another thing as well, just reminded me, I watched Impact the other day and there wasn't one single kind of knockout, either vignette or match, which kind of worries me a little bit because I know NXT's kind of took the mantle, but it doesn't mean Impact should completely stop the knockout division. I'm just, that's my fault. I might be wrong.
Yeah, but the thing is like our with what's going on with Impact too is just it's very interesting when you I know we're not doing the AEW. You have Josh Alexander debuting in Impact, and then you have the Jordan Graces and all of that, and like we mentioned, all of the talent that we were kind of even Speedball, all the talent that I thought was kind of sticking out there in Impact, are somewhere else now. So they really have to reset and figure out, what they want to do. Because I love Joe Hendry, but like, who's gonna help? Who else there is gonna drive people to be like, you know what, I want to watch Impact, consistently. And like you said, they're gonna have to pick it up because the worst part is that when I hear about the knockouts now, you know who I'm hearing about, and I don't think that's what you necessarily
Yep.
want. Like Tessa Blanchard is the only one getting eyeballs really consistently, and it's never necessarily for good these days. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that's what you want right now.
Yeah, I mean, don't worry, like, because Elias is there, so that's what we all want.
Nice.
April 15th, NXT. We open with Wesley, Lex King, Eddie Thorpe, beneath the page, already in the ring. My God, this felt like dynamite. To see who would face Ricky Saints for the North American title at Stand and Deliver. Saints joined the commentary team to watch, but wasn't there for long as he was ejected after Page threw Thorpe into him and caused him to blow up. All four men looked like they could win at any moment, but Page ultimately earned the title shot by pinning King. And I tell you what, this was, I thought, a great way to start. And there was an argument that this could have been with Ricky Saints, like a five-man match at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't have minded that too much, but I'm not. I'm also not mad at what we did or the end result that we got here. And I thought everybody, like you said, showcased themselves well, and the match itself was damn interesting to me. And it's one of those situations, man. And all I gotta say is, Jay, now this is I'm gonna ask you this again, Jay. Do you think the Heritage Cup will be around by the end of the year? Because matter of
Um,
fact, I haven't seen the cup in
well,
in weeks, literally.
I, there
So
was a segment of Stand and Deliver we're going to talk
yeah,
about.
yeah,
So I will answer it then. But if I had a magic eight ball, it would say doesn't look likely, does it? So
right.
but again, I shouldn't really moan about Saints and of course Page because that is the only singles match at Stand and Deliver. So for me to want a multi-man match, it's kind of like, oh my god, where are all the singles matches? I suppose Saints.
WrestleMania 2000.
Yeah, that would be a good quiz question. Saints came out and speared Page during his post-match promo as well. We saw a great Grace promo, and then we're spotting the Women's North American Championship ladder match was up for grabs when Tatum Paxley took on Lola Vice. Vice got the win to earn a spot. But again, we talk about how kind of packed the NXT division is. I kind of you forget about Lola Vice and Tatum Paxley, and they're two I actually really enjoy.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought process about it, and that's one of those reasons why I'm like, yep, I understand completely why Stephanie have to kind of give the belt up because and then like the issue would be like you said, if let's say Stephanie kept the belt, and then you have like a Tatum or a Lola beat her, now what? They automatically get a shot at the world title too eventually. Like you're gonna have that problem when you have that belt on one person. But like you said, we're so deep right now, and Lola is kind of the thing is it seems like not having a team strips you from TV time. In a sense, kind of not having a partner, because that's basically that's the difference, I guess. The main difference between like a Lola Vice and like even Kalani to an extent. Like they'll have backstage segments, but they're not necessarily in the ring or on TV consistently. And the direct correlation I have is that they don't have a partner.
Uh, oh, I'll tell you what, Gina's becoming a fan of Load of Ice. We should say that as well. Julie get a highlight package showing off her new attitude. Roxanne Perez looking for a tag team partner after backstage interaction with NXT general manager Ava. And I tell you what, she did find Cora Jade, but I tell you, Ava really has a problem with Roxanne. And I know Roxanne, he'll say this, but we've watched this now, and for 3 years, Ava's been against Roxanne.
I'm trying to think back. Did Roxanne did she have a problem with schism?
Yeah, did you?
Like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Roxanne used to slander Schism backstage and we just don't know about it or something. But yeah, no, she's definitely and I don't mind it because I do remember years of having when especially for example like Roman Reigns, like the authority figure meant nothing for a long time in the bloodline saga because they was basically just doing whatever Roman wanted them to do. So I do kind of appreciate Ava kind of being there to kind of at every turn almost being there to kind of I would say manage Roxanne, but yeah, she's definitely just there to stifle her. Or, like they live to annoy each other at this point in the relationship. But and it's fun, especially when you think about somebody who's one of your most decorated champions. It's really cool. But I also think too a little bit of it, and don't discount this. Roxanne is short and Ava's very tall. So
Yeah, that might be it. That
yeah, it's like fire and ice, man.
Yeah, we're thinking about it the wrong way, But like we said, speaking of tag teams, we've got the tag team gauntlet. Hank and Tank eliminated Igwe and DuPont. Sorry, Wes, no stand to deliver appearance even as manager this year. Then he got rid of Nico Vance and Brooks Jensen. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Brooks is a fucking moron, Monty. Not only stopping his partner for getting advantage early, even though he's a legal man, but then kind of staring at each other as they got eliminated. Fuck me.
Justice for Josh Briggs.
Yeah, I suppose so. But
Josh Briggs is looking at this. Hey, Exhibit A. You see, told you.
just makes me
I
sick.
go all the way to Japan and get a different partner to get away from this mess. Uh, but yeah, no, I don't got nothing to add there. If you trust me, if you need to slander Bruce Jensen, I'm not stopping you.
No, well, trust me, I do on 2K. Tavian Heights and Miles Bourne looked good, but came up short. And finally, Hank and Tank eliminated Josh Briggs. You stick it in Amora, strong as you like. I mean, credit to trying to build a tag team division. I mean, it's bad tag team division, but you can't have everything, Monty, can you? You can't have everything.
Yeah, and when we're gonna get to the stand and deliver, and I think that's gonna play a big factor in not only how I looked at that match, but also like the way I kind of looked at them going into this match. Because as impressive as this would be, anybody else, I'll be like, oh, okay, it's hard to bet against this team. They just beat every tag team in the division, pretty much except the champions. They got momentum. But because I don't really I only like one of the others. I like what I think I like Tavion and Miles and like I like um okay Briggs and Briggs' team is okay. Uh, but yeah, I don't really rate highly much. That I don't rate any of the team that high. So Hank and Tank winning this impressive though. It was good to a good match. Don't get me wrong. Especially from a stamina standpoint and watching Hanky Tank, take out everybody. I get the story, with all the advice they've been getting and all of that. But yeah, man, it was one of those things that kind of had me like, all right, that was cool, but I like this is one of them situations where it's like you got Fraction way up here, and then you're on the rise, but the best team next to Fraction to me is still like 3 to 4 levels below Fraction in my thought process. So
Mm.
yeah, this was only so impressive, but it was still impressive.
We see a video for Jada Parker and her soccer past. Yes, Monty, soccer over here, man. You train for that. You're like a ninja. You know that. Uh, the family was in the parking lot looking for a fight with
How many
Dark
hip
State.
checks you do in soccer?
Oh, no, I'm talking bang. I'm like hypnotic bang. Then goal. Just bang. Anyway, we're talking about Dark State in the parking lot with Tony D was nowhere to be seen. A huge brawl broke out. They brought them all back into the building as they thought. Tony D eventually showed up with a crowbar and started cleaning house. And once Dark State ran away, he ripped into Stacks for doing things without consulting him. Everything seemed fine. But this was kind of impact level bad. And I don't know if it was because it was the editing or whatever. I hated everything about this.
It's just a brawl.
Yeah, there's just a car park,
Yeah,
the shitty
yeah.
impact
So
car park brawl.
yeah, I mean, I saw the funny thing you say that people on the internet love this for some reason. Like, oh, I literally remember word for word was saying we need more dark state brawls, and I'm like, are you a real person? did we watch the same thing? Like, no, I got it. Throwing people. I get it. The wall spot. Okay, that's fine. And nice parking lot brawl. I guess that does fit like the whole character. I mean, don't forget. I'm gonna mention this again later. Don't forget. Off screen, Tony D had somebody sleeping with the fish. So we do have to remember that it is supposed to be a street element to this family. uh, I guess so. I guess that's what they're trying to tap into here. But yeah, this like you said, I think impact level vignette style brawl is probably like you said, an accurate way to describe this. I mean, it was what it was. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not too into this. I'm not too into any of this that what they're trying to give us here when it comes to Dark State and the family. Uh, so I kind of looked at this as a distraction, but I guess it was entertaining enough.
Yeah, there we go. I think that's the best review that I've heard. Entertaining enough. Steph had the last package. It is crazy how fast she has hit the ground running. We talked about Julia, but I didn't think Steph, I don't know, would adapt so fast. Do you know what I mean? And it seems that as well that the fans truly do love her, and there is a connection there, as we spoke about in the past.
I think that's probably the one that got me the most. Like I think in the ring, from what I had seen of her work outside of it, I knew same thing kind of like Julia in the sense of like I expected that to kind of I expected them to have it in the ring quicker than some others. But like you said, the connection and even Julia to this point don't have that. Like they are, like you said, they're 100% into everything she does. And it's one of those situations where it kind of reminds me of like a Jacob Fatu. You look at them and they radiate special, and then the bell rings and they're still special, And even if they don't have to say a lot in the promos, when she does say something, and the energy, the confidence she gives off, special. You know what I mean? And I think people can feel that. So yeah, I'm kind of still surprised sometimes at the reactions, and even we can talk about that again later in the title match. The reactions that she got here too, it's just like you can tell that they're on to something very special with Stephanie, and it's getting to the point now to where it's like if things continue the way they are, in a similar fashion in the way Tiffany rose and then went to the main roster, and then now she's where she's at, defending her world title, and being at WrestleMania with the reaction that she got. Who knows? Like by next year, Stephanie Valkyrie could be in one of those women world championship matches. You know, getting that type of reaction because that's literally the type of trajectory she seems to be on already, and that is just it's just so I don't know, man. It's unprecedented.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's crazy. Up next, there was another North American ladder match qualifier with Carmen Petrovic taking on Thea Hale, the former Chase U stand-up, came running out the ring in the first appearance since the Great American Bash. Hale was aggressive right at the gate and scored the win in about 5 minutes with the submission. It is good to see her because I'm sick of seeing fucking Andre Chase and what he's done to him.
And also, today before she came out the other day, to basically say he just gonna start another school.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What the fuck is that? And Thea's like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. No, it's not Thea.
Oh, we are. Come on, man. We already been. So they literally they went to the creative drawing board and they couldn't come up with nothing else. But hey, Chase, just let's do a school thing again.
I
That's all they can come up with.
just
Anyway, it
don't
was
understand.
great to see Thea. That was pretty awesome to see her here. Because again, I think I don't know if it was last show, but it was definitely I feel like a couple of shows I was asking that question like, "What's up with Thea?" You know, she was on a nice trajectory, and because we have such a nice, we're spoiled, but since we have such a revolving door of women's talent coming in and out right now of NXT, it was kind of weird in my opinion because I felt like we felt she's challenged for the world title and was legitimately a threat for a while there. Even with the Chase U run and all of that stuff, and she got muddied down with all the JC Jane and then having to get roped in with the Ridge stuff. But I did kind of think that she had a trajectory to be in not only in a title picture, but like just like I said, in the mix. So it was cool to see her come out there, and then she won dominantly, man. She pretty much made that look easy and qualified. So I was really high on not only seeing her, but I was like, oh, okay, that's making me entertain her possibly being one of the favorites to become champion. So it's really cool to see Thea Hill because she's probably the one person. I mean, it's not a problem. Like a couple of those people are gone from the company, and we see what Andre Chase got going on. And where is Miles Bourne? I don't. What does he do? I don't remember the last time I heard Miles Bourne doing something. So yeah, Theo Hale is pretty much the only one who gained anything from the Chase
Well, Riley
storyline.
Osborne. Yeah, Riley Osborne, Duke
Oh, my
Hudson.
fault. I'm calling him
Yeah,
Miles.
no,
My
yeah,
fault. Miles.
because
See,
I was thinking, Miles,
that
but
should have helped
we
you
have,
anyway. That should have helped
yeah,
you
yeah.
anyway.
But
That should
again,
explain everything that I can't
there
even
you
say his
go.
name right.
Your point has been proven there, sir. Uh, we good to see her back. The final segment this week, NXT was Trick Williams over Femi Javon Evans having one last confrontation for the NXT title match on Saturday. Williams and Femi ended up sending Evans out the ring so they could fight. The young AG came back and with a springboard attack that took out both men. He picked up the title and posed with it to end the show. Quite a statement there. And again, Monty, I'm probably going to mention this in a little bit, but we might do it here. We've spoken about this in the past, and it does seem Javon might not have it at standard to deliver, but is the next in line when it comes to this.
Yeah, no doubt. I think honestly, he's the future. He will be I don't know if he will be the one two. I mean, honestly, a few months down the line, maybe he would be the perfect pick to get over that hump and beat a over Femi. And he's so young right now that I don't. I think they got plenty of time for him to still become the youngest singles champion in WWE history. So, but yeah, man, he's special. He's so special. And again, like I said, the promos have worked out. We know what he has in the ring, and it's really been cool to kind of watch them place him here because it's one of those things that even though he hasn't been like North American champion, for example, or he hasn't even won tag titles or something like that, I still feel like it still feels so natural for him to be in the main event. I mean, to be fair, he did pin Ethan Page, who was a former champion. So that does kind of give him something to build off of. And just like I said, how he does not feel like he's being forced into this spot with Trick and Over. Like he feels like he belongs. And like I said, you had to kind of at least entertain it a little bit, at least a chance of Javon coming out on top, in my opinion. which is a big compliment to somebody who's what 20 years old. So Javon is also one of those people that I think, kind of like we said with Stephanie, probably not to the same extent, but I know especially when the bell rings, you see, oh no, this kid is special, and like I feel like he's unique, and I think the future is so bright for Javon, man, and I just hope that NXT keeps you know keeps or like keeps fresh in their brains what they have in a guy like him because like other than Javon, what maybe Ricky Starks after his North American title run, you can see possibly having a chance against at the throne in over Femi. I don't even want to go that far because I don't know, if we can even who you can really put in that category right now with over, but that's my point. It's just Javon and then like maybe like I said, Ricky Starks going forward that you can look at and project that they will be close to the top of the card by like next stand and deliver. But Javon could be at the next two or three stand and deliver. That's just like I don't know if he's this good now. What can he be in 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. So here we go then. It is time for Stand and Deliver, April 19th. Megan Moran, Sam Roberts, what a prick. Sarah Schreiber interviews Jordan Grace. Vic Joseph with Javon. Sol Ruka won the Universe poll, whatever that is. Blake Howard, never heard of him, sat down with Hank and Tank. Tank, I mean, they said, I tell you what, right? When I was thinking, when I watching this, I didn't understand my note for a second because it said Daddy Magic, but Tank and Daddy Magic as a tag team, I think would really work. They just they got the same, you know
I
what I
can
mean?
see
It's the
that.
same, yeah,
Yeah, I can see that.
the same cadence. I don't know. Maybe I've got too much time in my hands. Anyway, Ava joined the panel and she said 18 women will compete tonight, more women than
Yeah.
men. I mean, this is again we've spoken about it, but this drum needs to be beaten. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking to the girls about the card when we were going into predictions, I was harping on that point. When we were trying to kind of like break down what's been going on to them leading up to the show, because I did the math on I don't know Wednesday or Thursday, and it was like, wow, this is pretty damn special that we have so many women involved in this card, and like single handedly to me that just I don't know what I get it. People may want to argue because like you have the Tony Storms, you have the Mercedes, you have like for example the special stuff that Mercedes and Athena just did the other day, and then you have so much top heavy talent on the main roster. Like look at what we possibly could be seeing tonight with Io and Bianca, and we just have so much women's talent spread out in the world, like stardom and all of that. We talk about it all the time, but to have 18 different women in prominent positions, and we'll talk about it as we go, but pretty much, in my opinion, everybody looked like they belonged to be presented. How can you be disappointed, in my opinion, in just in that, like you said, that's something that they need to be. I wish last night at WrestleMania they mentioned it. Just make a bigger deal out of it because it's just you don't get that. It's so uncommon because we talk about it all the time. As great as a lot of these women's divisions that I just listed with the men, I mean, with the main roster and on AEW, we talk about it all the time. How many people that we wish we could see more of, or how much, like we talked about with the mid card titles not being on WrestleMania and stuff like that. Well, Sean made sure that he's gonna, somebody can make the argument that he's overutilized the talent, but he's gonna put him out there, and you have to kind of give credit for that because that's just very cool. Because you know what it was like, James. It was a long time when we weren't getting. I mean, don't even get started on the quality, but like we only had a select few, up to about eight for a while, and then now we're overflowed with women's talent.
Yeah, again, yeah. I mean, it's pretty soon you and I are gonna be like, oh, we just hate women's wrestling. We just see too much of it. But again, it's not happened next. One thing as well, I miss the network, Monty, especially at WrestleMania weekend when there's so many shows to kind of catch up on. The amount of ads on YouTube for this. And I'm thinking,
Yeah,
I've still got like a 4.5 hour fucking stand and deliver to do and stuff. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I mean, I know people are going to go, well, just do YouTube without ads, but god damn it, why is it on not Netflix for? It's just it's a struggle, not all in one place.
And not even to just harp on that because like I think that's a great point, and especially from you guys' viewing point of view, but just from a also just from the library point of view and the way that things are like we went from having so much at the tip of our fingers to now not only do you have to be subscribed to Peacock to this and to that over in America and Netflix and this and this the library now. I mean, I still can watch SmackDown for the old SmackDown on Peacock, for example, and then some of the and like the pay per views. But I, the library and like what I think what happened was I just we were so you don't realize how good something like that was until you just have it. Like you were so used to having so much wrestling at your fingertips that now that a lot of that stuff and a lot of that original content that we used to have is nowhere to be found. Like now I find myself in a very similar place where I'm like, man, those days when we just had the network with some good times. And it was like you said, it was just so much easier to navigate too. And so I agree, especially from and then like even watching Raw. Well, I don't pay the extra money to just have Netflix straight up no ads. Same thing with Peacock. Even last night at WrestleMania, I'm sitting through advertisements and just add this, add that, and like I get it. They're making a lot of money. There's a lot of sponsorship, great promotional opportunities for people, but yeah, man, it's annoying. And I know some people can be like, hey, just pay the extra money for this and that. Yeah, but I just remember we didn't have to worry about that. And you can point out, missing it being a simpler time when you can just enjoy your wrestling.
Yeah, without a doubt. Anyway, we're going to go ringside. At least this kickoff has got some matches on it with Vic Joseph, Corey Graves, and Booker T. And again, we'll talk about a couple of commentators. Booker blamed the camera angle at the Hall of Fame, which hopefully we'll cover next week. But also Corey Graves. I'm pretty sure he was doing WrestleMania last year. So, it might be a little bit of a step down. We've already spoken about Graves, obviously, what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, at first he seemed to be uh, out of place, but I do think he's found himself. I mean, I'm being honest with you, Corey's good. Corey's always been pretty damn solid. I think as him and Booker and Vic have kind of gotten the chemistry down of a three-man team, because again, let's just like it's simple. Two-man teams, in my opinion, are just superior. Like it's just easier to deal with. But I think that's time has went on. Corey has found his footing nicely with them. And again, I don't know. I definitely would kind of look at it as a downgrade too, but it's unfortunate because I don't. It's not. I'm not one of those people. I did see somebody say the other day that they hate Wade Barrett's voice, and I'm just like, man, we are in different. Like we just, like it's just kind of crazy how differently fans can view some of the same commentary, in my opinion, because there's people who don't like Book. So, and I love Book. I love Barrett. I think Corey is good at his job too. So, like, it's tough, man. It's really one of those situations where it's like, uh, I like Joe Test. I like what Joe Test has been doing. He seemed to be been a really good hire too. So, again, it's just one of those situations where it's like, I hate that Corey is demoted, but I do feel like he's found his footing in this role pretty good.
Yeah, without a doubt. So the first match, elimination match, Meta Girls versus Fatal Infants versus Dolan Paxley versus Prez and Jade. Prez caught Legend with Pop Rocks to set up the first elimination. God damn it. The Prodigy walked out on Jade to leave Dolan Paxley to double stack Jade for the elimination. After some miscommunication amongst Fatal Influence, Cemetery Drive sealed the win for Paxley and Dolan. Oh, fuck me. Monty, before we just talk about the matchup, I mean, the setting again, we kind of got used to it now since NXT's moved to CW, kind of special events. But again, it's still nice to see NXT in the arena of this size, and it looked good.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty cool, to see the fans and the environment. It seemed like I don't know if it was all packed, but it definitely seemed to be one of the more packed shows. And like you said, if it wasn't, they filmed it really well because it felt like a big event, And for it to be earlier in the day too, I think the crowd brought some pretty exciting energy to the show. and I can't complain about that at all. But into the match, I thought this was okay. Start and this has nothing to do with my predictions because I just thought that the Meta Girls, I thought that since they were more of they like the most, they like the, no, I think, yeah, easily they're like the longest tenured team in this situation. And I just thought it would finally be a way for them to get back to a title shot and maybe even have a chance to win. I don't know if they're ever going to give an NXT team a chance to win the women's tag titles, but if they were, I feel like a legitimate team like them would be a good choice. But even the crowd in Vegas were not happy when Lash Legend them were the first eliminated. And again, it is what it is. I don't hate Paxley and Gigi in this position. That they seeming to be developing pretty good chemistry. I also think some of the moves they got together, you can tell they're working on things together to get better. My probably the biggest problem I had with this match was Roxanne walking out. Mostly from the perspective of she basically whined and begged for this spot, and like she deserves more. Don't get me wrong. I think a match with Bailey or whatever else you could find for Roxanne, hell, even if you could have made the main event a 5-way, I don't think Roxanne needs to fight for that belt again. But I'm just saying, if you think about who she is and her standing and all the work she's put in over the year, she deserved, in my opinion, better than this. But at the same time, for her to do this, and I get it, it's probably setting up the feud that Cora and Roxanne, like I think for a while now, we know NXT wanted to do this feud. So I think maybe that's probably the point of doing that. But to me, I didn't like the reasoning because it just didn't. It kind of came out. I don't know about you. Did you see anything in the match that make it make sense? Why she just said, you know what, screw it, I don't want to do it
No,
because like she got kicked in the gut and then she just like, you know what, I don't want to do it anymore.
no, I even didn't know she's going away. I thought, where the fuck is she going now? Like, and it's like, again, it's just, is it setting up just for Cora to beat Rox and then send Rox on away? But again, it's Roxanne's turned into a bit of a Bron Breaker situation now, isn't she? Where it's like,
Exactly. Yes.
yeah, you going or what?
Right. Are you gonna go exactly? Are they gonna call you up? I mean, even from I think did she just wrestle Tiffany on SmackDown? You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's like, are you on the main roster? Are you not? We know you're ready. It's one of those situations where it's like, can you finally? I don't want to say just go, but at the same time, it's like you don't really have anything major left to do. And if you're not gonna team with Core, I mean, that's another thing too. How many times are you guys gonna turn on each other? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how many times are you gonna do this and play this little cat and mouse game? So, I don't know. Again, that was probably the biggest problem I had with the match, but overall, the result was fine. I thought everybody did have moments. I was disappointed last in Jakar with the first one gone, and I was kind of just disappointed that Roxanne just decided to say screw it, and then Cora gets rolled up and that's it. So yeah, it was just one of those situations where it was like that was kind of weird, but overall, I thought it was a good enough kickoff show match. So I gave it
Yeah.
like 3.5.
Give it 3.5. Yeah, like you said, probably Meta and Rox's last takeover, but all women tried hard. I'm going to give it 3 3/4. Predictions, the WNR Prediction League after Dynasty. Monty, I did you bad, man, because I've got to add another point to you because you did get a perfect score at Dynasty. It actually wasn't added on. So the bonus league, you're on 13 at this moment in time. On 11, Jax is on 10, Gina's on 8, WWE, Monty Jaxie on 2, me and Junior on 1, and the AW one, I can't be bothered. What's the point? It just brings me down. With this one, we all went Meta Girls, so we're all on 0. So the perfect score is out the window. Main show, I didn't mind the show opening promo as we got the North American Championship, Ricky Saints versus All Ego, Ethan Page. And this was a physically intense battle between both of them. It nearly ended with a new champion. All Ego focused on the back and seemed to be in control after Ricky landed on the announce table. However, the Revolution kicked out the Ego's edge, hit spear into the Rochambeau for the victory. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man, this was a really great way to start off the show. I mean, also to me, and this is like going to be like a special point, I guess, literally just from my point of view, because I know it was a different time that you may have watched this, and a different time for maybe a lot of the listeners out there. But waking up at like what 11 in the morning, and then like the first thing you see on the big card, oh, I think it was basically like noon for me. But yeah, seeing it in the middle of like just a pretty mild manner morning, and then you see Ricky Starks out there, just diving and throwing his body around. Like it was a really physical way to kind of kick off things, if you ask me, for the show because of and like just get like it really kind of, in my opinion, it set the tone for what I was expecting for this show because they really brought an aggressive energy to a early show. And I'm like, it's kind of tough. I don't know if wrestlers have spoken about this before, but pacing yourself or like doing this in a daytime like time slot like this and making sure the crowd's energy and everybody is ready to go. It's probably more difficult than it looks. So I thought they came out with a great energy. I love the physicality that they brought. Like it really felt like they wanted to go out there and be aggressive and really, just fight a physical contest. And I thought Ricky Stark basically passed every test that Ethan Page tried to throw at him, and came out the victor, and retained his belt. Now I wouldn't mind seeing them go even further eventually. I don't know if it needs to be done soon or not. I don't know if we need to revisit this again, but it does make me wonder because we talk about the men's division all the time. Where do we go now with Ricky Starks as champion? Who's the next challenger? I am eager to see what's next for him. But this was an impressive showcase. I thought Ethan Page has been nothing but solid and very consistent since coming to NXT. So I thought he just kind of, it was another day at the office of just being impressive for Ethan Page. But I also thought for people who may be new to Ricky and or people who are new to seeing him as a champion, I thought he really showed himself really well here, here Stand and Deliver, and I thought this was a great way to kick the show off.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, a match last year we wouldn't think was possible, and I guess that is a beauty in professional wrestling. But I mean, Ricky Saints was a winner, but Page has just settled so quickly, hasn't he? Even to the WWE style. That's got a chance to be TNA champion, and I don't think he's looked better physique wise. He's really taken this opportunity seriously, and
Yeah.
it shows, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to say he's a brand new guy because I saw talent when he was in AEW, but yeah, I just think because, like I said, the fact that he just seems to be so dependable, and I think Shawn Michaels, or I think the way he's booked too has been very consistent, and he just seems to be somebody that you could trust to deliver in these spots. Put no pun intended, but like so, I just think that, like you said, he's really done a good job of just kind of showcasing himself in the best possible way. And I think he's in a great position. You're 100% right. For somebody like Ethan Page to kind of seem to be such a natural in this style and in this format for WWE, it really bodes well for him because he's one of those guys now that I'm not saying he's in the like Roxanne or Braun Breaker portion of his run yet, but he does seem like he's closer to being on the main roster than he is to lingering in NXT, just with the way he's being presented.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we have to mention it as well, the Tony fumble chance. I mean, Ricky Saints has said he doesn't like hearing it, but it was
Right.
again and again. We've spoken about this because I'm a bit, I don't know, I'm not sure about these.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it because, like I said, I mean, if that was, I don't want it to become a thing really because AEW fans, but they've taken. It's been plenty of WWE people when Brian Danielson, when the Hurt Syndicate now, or anybody who's jumped, Copeland, wherever you want to go, anybody who's jumped over, we haven't heard like the Hunter fumbled and all of that. I don't need any more. Like they already pick, especially on the internet, they already pick each other apart as far as like WWE and AEW fan base. Hell, even Nick Khan and all of that. I didn't like that. I don't understand. What's the point of pointing out Tony's dad in that situation? I don't get the point of highlighting that like Vince isn't a nepo baby or like Triple H didn't inherit this from like. Come on, bro. Like it's not that many businesses that isn't having an inheritance or having someone pass the money down from a parent anyway. So I don't understand the point in that. I do know Tony has said stuff about Nick Khan in the past or whatever, But honestly, I'm over it. I'm really over the so-called beef. We should just be happy that we have these multiple promotions. Yes, criticize AEW, criticize WWE, but honestly, we are in a great time period. We got places where both people, both. We got two places where wrestlers can thrive, and that's where we need to be. And I just don't understand the point of highlighting that because it's honestly both of Ricky has moved on, Ethan has moved on. What's the point of continually trying to remind everybody that these guys were AEW? He should have kept these guys. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
Yeah, yeah. No, it is pointless. It is pointless. So scores then to start us off on the main show. We're going to give it
I give it. I'm gonna go with four. Yeah, I'm going 4.25.
4.25. I'm going to give it a 4. Predictions, we all went Ricky, so all on one. Up next, the NXT Tag Team Championships. Fraxium. Oh, I gotta get ready for this. Versus Hank and Tank. Hank and Tank battled with the same endurance that pushed them through the gauntlet, and Dave Fraser and Axiom simply could not keep up. After Tank took out Axiom with a tope suicida, Hank and Tank collided with Fraser in the ring for the honk honk and the victory. Fraxium kicked away the handshake attempt of Hank and Tank, only to pull him in for a hug instead. I think it's best to say just watch this match because I can't do it justice, and I mean, it's just Fraxium, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, but to avoid sounding like a broken record, honestly, bro, it wasn't just them this time. I believe they did a great job, but again, maybe it's because I looked too lowly at Hank and Tank, but they really impressed me because I felt like for big guys, they kept the pace going. They really were, and you know what? It is Fraction because Fraction benefits because they have put their matches, they found a way to put their matches together, even when you expect them to dominate, or even when they're going against somebody that you don't look at like a threat. They have put their matches together in a way that makes it look like at any moment, either Fraction can have a miscommunication or something can go wrong. At any moment, things could go not as planned, and that kind of puts you on that gives you that element, that unknown element, and it puts you on the edge of your seat. At least from my perspective, it definitely gives me an edge, and because like even as somebody like me who kind of picked against uh Tank and Tank, mostly from the perspective I just didn't want to bet against Fraxium, even though I felt like it definitely could have been time because I've been feeling like that. I just was like, the way they put these matches together, you gotta watch all the way to the next. You gotta watch all the way until the deciding fall because anything can happen when Fraction are in the ring, And I think Hank and Tank matched that energy. I think their intensity was great. I mean, the Hank with that suicide dive where he landed right on the table, and then still being able to make the save. That was one of those heart wrenching moments. I thought Tank's athleticism is one of those things that if you're not used to it or like I said, I wasn't really familiar with their game
Mm.
to that extent. And I think Hank and Tank showed levels of athleticism that you don't expect when you watch guys like that. So the fact that match, in my opinion, was that good, when we were setting up the record for the WrestleMania pre-show, I told you that I told you that WrestleMania match. I told you that tag match was like you gonna walk away from that like wow, and that's exactly how I was because, and that's what I'm saying. After a while, when somebody like Fraction does this, you just come away expecting them to be great, but somehow they just keep getting like I don't know how. How do you get better? Like
Yeah.
how does it seem like the formula gets better and not repeated or repetitive? Like I don't get it. I just don't get it. They are unbelievable. And can you believe this? They were a team that were seemingly forced together.
Yeah, I know. This is what I'm saying. There's always a part in a Fraxian match, and I think the moment was when it was I think Hank on the announce table breaking up the fall, and again the fans just will stand up, and that Fraxian will just kind of bring it home without a shadow of a doubt. But like I said, you got to credit to the honk honk as well because Hank and Tank got a huge ovation for winning. But again, it's just like how Is it possible Fraxium can get a 5-star kind of match from this? I mean, this is stupid. We already know the answer, but they obviously deserve a main roster run, don't they? But again, it makes me worry because we know about the history of NXT tag teams.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't like how people like think about it. Most of the machine guns, DIY, Street Profits, even the New Day and them to an extent, and some of the other tag teams. I don't like how the main roster tag team division is treated in general. So that automatically almost makes me worried for what could be if Fraxium had to go to the main roster as a team. So I don't know. I really don't know what's gonna happen. Like, matter of fact, going into like this next NXT, do they continue on like you mentioned into like the draft as a team, and then they get drafted as a team, and that's how they decide to do it, or do like Frazier dick kicks actually on Tuesday? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what happens? Like it'll be interesting to see because I don't know. I'm with you. I would love them to have a run together, but guess what would bang? Nathan Frazier versus Axiom. That would be awesome. And then part of me, because I was thinking about next contenders for singles, like for like Ricky, you know what I mean, and like even going forward for whoever comes out the world champion, the NXT world champion, like our men's division probably need both of them separately if you think about NXT right now. So I can see the argument either way, honestly.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. That's difficult. And the other upsetting thing is once Faxum do go, we are left with Hank and Tank versus this tag team
I
division.
was just
But
I was about to say OTM coming back. Like, yeah, where do we go? I guess the Dark State gonna have to be tag team champion. Where do
um,
we go?
and you know me, I don't usually go against Faxon, but I think prediction wise, the only reason I thought Hank and Tank was because the amount of kind of tag teams that were kind of building them up throughout the weeks, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean, with the Hardys and the Profits and Motor City Machine Gun and stuff like that. And of course, Pretty Deadly. They probably helped the most. But it's interesting. What are you going to score this match?
I give it 5. I mean, honestly, I'm not really fearful of it. The stakes were there, and I feel like the ultimate goal of this, because my whole thing was Fraction would win, but we would come away from this tag match looking at Hank and Tank like, wow, those guys those guys deserve to be on that level. But they not only proved that they're on that level, they beat them. So I can't. And then, like I said, I feel like if the goal of that match was to, because I feel like we know everything we need to know about what Fraxium is, and they didn't lose to any shenanigans or anything. They just got beat. So to me, the overall goal of that match, if the overall goal of that match was for us to look at Hank and Tank differently and for them to put them over on the way either out of NXT or out of the tag division, then the goal was completed 100%. And we have new champions. Now I'm with you. I'm worried. I don't know where we're going as a division after this. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. What can we look forward to in as far as the tag division goes? But and like Axiom, Fraxium will be missed if it's over. But uh, like I said, you can't ask for much more than this, man. How can you put another team over, in my opinion, more than a match like this?
No, you can't. You really can't. And that is the kind of that really have had Vraxium a legendary run in NXT. We will look back and realise just how lucky we have been. Prediction wise, Monty went Fraxium, the rest went Hank and Tank. So Monty on 1, the rest on 2. I really like Penn and Teller, but there is a time and a place. I will say that they made the Heritage Cup disappear. And I think, Monty, that is how the lineage ended. I don't think we're going to see it again. That's it, done. The end of the Heritage Cup.
You know what? I don't know. If, am I mad at that or not? Do you think it deserved better than just Penn and Teller making it disappear, or have they degraded it to so much that I'm just happy it's gone now? Like that's where I'm at. I'm very confused, and but I do say this. Uh, I miss Noam Dar, so like if he just pops up with it, like what if he just pops up with the trophy one day?
It pulls it out of a
That'll be
hat.
hilarious.
Yeah, I'll take
Yeah,
that.
that'll be hilarious. But anyway, yeah, no, that hey, if it is over, Man, I really enjoyed you in your prime, Heritage Cup.
Well, that's going to be a great quiz question in a few years' time. Like, what championship did Penn and Teller make disappear for good?
Right.
Up next, Women's North American Championship ladder match. Thea Hale, whose gimmick is she's a grown ass woman. All right, okay.
Okay.
Lola Vice, Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, Zaria, who came up with Sol Ruka. That was a bit fucking weird, wasn't it? Was that just
Bro,
me?
no, it's weird, and then that's why what happened. That's why I let's just say it this way: when we talk about predictions, that is why I was picking against one of the both of them. Actually, that's why I picked against both of them because of stuff like that. Because why are you guys together to this point? Like this is every woman for himself. What are we doing?
Yeah. And there's no, and again, it's almost like with the kickoff match as well. And they go, it's for the tag team titles, and they're a tag team. There are no tag team titles on NXT. There should be a women's tag team championship. It would make sense, but again,
Right,
the main roster women's tag titles are not really used to the best of their abilities. I think would be nice to say.
right. That's the best. That's pretty much the best way to put it. Yeah, they pretty much Inception. Pretty much since Inception too. By the way, like we have some bright spots, but for the most part, for the most part, it's been yeah dysfunctional to say the least.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Lani moonsaulted onto Ruka and Vice outside and sent Dame into a ladder with a standing leg drop and parted Zaria on another ladder. Zaria took a Dame super kick from Ruka and then the Cullen Star planted Ruka with a double choke slam off the ladder. Howell got close to the title, but Dame pulled the ladder away. Howell knocked down Dame, but Zaria lifted the ladder to send Haya onto the culling outside. This was one of those moments where it's fear. Just, I know you meant to go for the title, but her
Get
concentration was.
down.
Yeah, get ready, get ready for that. To take out the culling. Oh, bless her heart. Vice stopped Zaria with a sleeper hold for plummeting onto the ladder, followed by Lani Frog Splash on Vice. So Ruka and Zaria Zariah. I keep getting it wrong as well. Zaria. I know it's Zaria, but I keep wanting to say Zariah, so I do apologise. It's been a long weekend. We worked well. They worked well together until the closing stretch when they met at the top of the ladder. The Surfer knocked down a tag team partner, then hit three other women with soul snatchers for heading up the top for the ladder for the win. And it's odd, Monty, that I'm going to say that a ladder match had to follow another match, but. It's weird that this did come straight after the classic that we just seen in the tag team division.
Right? Yeah, like you said, usually it's the other way around. But I didn't hate this. I thought this was cool. They didn't take any unnecessary risk. It was definitely some moments where it's like I mentioned, like the Thea Hale thing. It was funny because I knew exactly what was going on. Like I got it. Like you said, you try to brace yourself and do the spot right so you can fall safely. But get down, just get down. Like what are you doing, Thea? Just get down. That's what I kept yelling. I'm like, Thea, just get down. They take it too long. Get down. But like I said, it was fine, And I will say that that finishing stretch there for Saul Ruka, I mean, that might be one of the best finishes for one person in a multi-man ladder match I've ever seen, where you just take out what 4 or 5 people by like with your finish in different ways and all of that.
Mm.
Excuse me. I expected her to do a couple beautiful soul snatches, and like I said, I expected her to steal the show in a sense because I know that's kind of like her style. And I thought Kaylani had moments and all of that too. And even Izzy Dane had a couple spots in there where you can see that you can see some potential there. But overall, I thought it was cool. I didn't have a problem with it. It didn't seem too spot festy, but at the same time, it wasn't like the craziest thing, spectacle I've ever seen. But it was a great moment for Saul Ruka. She's crowned the champion, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of run this is. And also it'll be interesting for me to see how long was Arya smile in her face before she have to flatten her. Because honestly, we know it has to happen. Like at the end of it, right now, you may not take what happened up there personally, but Saul Ruka not only did Sol Ruka throw the first shot at you without hesitation while you were just sitting there staring in her eyes, I understand that she's very pretty,
Mm-hmm.
but I get why you just did that. She threw the first shot. She still hit you first, and then she was the reason why you fell off, even though that core strength. Oh my goodness, like, so Ruka does stuff that just make me want to go work out. But like yeah, when watching Soul Ruka just make you feel bad about being lazy. But yeah, man, she's special. I have no problem with that. The only reason why I kind of deleted her from there was because I thought that spot would happen, but it would cost them both. Like I thought they would hesitate, and then Soul and her would get, but no, she kept her composure, hit her finish a couple times, and ended up walking out as champ. That was pretty damn cool to me, and like it does make me wonder what's next for like for example, Lola Vice. I feel like it's been on the sideline when it comes to championships for a while now. So it's like, what do you do next with somebody like her? I do think she has more to work on, but it's like I thought giving her a championship would be a good way to kind of help establish her going forward with some type of more of an identity other than the Queen of the Underground. Because the Queen of the Underground sound cool, but every match ain't gonna be an underground match. Okay, so you need something else to latch on to. You know what I mean? Wasn't really expecting much from Izzy. I thought this was more of a situation making a name for Izzy. Kaylani, I didn't think she would get the belt back, even though she had her moments in the match. But again, like this, I knew Zarya and like I said, the Soul Roker would play a factor in the finish, and but and then even Thea Hale, I kind of expected her to have more of a factor. But like I mentioned, her coming back was a good enough surprise. I didn't really expect her to come out on top. But yeah, man, I can't really complain because, like I said, that was how many finishes of a ladder match where you seen one person just kind of go on a rampage and then still win the match. That
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
She fucked them up with them soul snatches. I gotta
Right.
say, like, I know people go, "Oh, we got to be in position," but fucking hell, they look good. And like I said, I thought she'd done too much. I thought they were gonna kiss at first, but they didn't.
Right.
But again, like I said, it is coming. It'd be interesting maybe if they do it the other way of Soul kind of being that arrogant kind of
Yeah.
surfer dude, man, and and then monster kind of baby face. But again, that's the story they've set now. Not everyone in this match is ready, but they tried hard. Like I said, finish was really good. And a great reaction from the crowd. I think Soul was definitely the crowd's choice to win this one.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I think that's another thing too. It was definitely a crowd pleaser. The finish was set up too, like I said, to kind of really get the people on their feet too. So yeah, did I think it held a candle to like the classic right before? Probably not, but I did think it was competitive. It was good. Everybody had their moments, and when you have a stipulation match like that, you just want people to get out there healthy and at least have the finish and all that makes sense. And I thought the finish was awesome. So yeah, man, I gave this like 4.5. I thought it was a pretty good match.
Yeah, I gave it 4.5 as well. Really good stuff. Predictions: Gina went Izzy, Jaxie went Thea, Monty went Lola, and I went Soul. So all four of us went different. I did get the point there, so it means I'm on three. Gina Jackson on two, Monty on one. Gigi, Shotzi, and Tatum were interviewed, and they said they've been busting their asses in NXT. But it was a really nice moment where Paxi says she might have to fight Lyra. And again, it's like you said, Monty, earlier, because we watch it, we get those little Easter eggs, because we already know how much Paxi
Mhm.
loves Lyra.
Yeah, again, it's like you said, again, I think that's the underrated MVP of NXT sometimes, and that's just like the fan service. Like I do think they do a great job of rewarding the people who've been watching. Because like some people who may not watch consistently or only watch the big PLEs, they may not understand some of this stuff. But to the people who watch all the time, NXT does a really good job of rewarding that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't reward us next as we had the D'Angelo family versus Dark State. The brawl started outside the ring during Dark State's entrance. Dion Lennox got so aggressive with Luca Cristofino on the outside that his own stablemates had to calm him down. I don't mind that at all. The physicality continued to escalate until everyone was brawling in the ring. Carmen Petrovic frog splashed into Cutler outside. Tony D and Shannon Stacks worked smoothly for a while, but the arguments escalated, and we knew it was going to happen. And it was Stacks low blow in the Don. This set up the double team on the Don to seal the victory for Dark State. I mean, Monty, what can you say? We knew it was coming. I thought everything seemed fine. I was wrong.
Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna probably say this again next week, but this is like the contrast of kind of what I mean. It is night two, so I know if people haven't seen night one's main event or anything, I'm not gonna spoil it. But the point is, my overall takeaway from that main event was sometimes being predictable can still end up being a really good result, or at least something really fun. And I think this is one of those situations where since they've been kind of dragging it out and we kind of seen it from afar coming, this is one of the situations where it was like, all right, just get it out the way. You know what I'm saying? It's like we know it's coming, get it out the way. And it does help that the people that are involved in that main event I'm talking about, we're all very invested in and like. But in this situation, for the most part, I could care less. So, uh, we all seen it coming. I mean, the miscommunications, the whole, don't do stuff without consulting me and all of that, So it was, like I said, I love pointing out the fact that Tony D is the same guy who earlier in his run made somebody sleep with the fishes. And for him to be such a soft ass mob boss when it comes, because even the way it was done, I guess you could be like he was so cocky that he just it's just the underboss. He wouldn't do it. I guess you could say he looked at it like that, but that just make the Don look stupid because I thought it was pretty obvious in my opinion. Like even after this match, I think that they chased Stacks out of the building. Like, why would you do that? It's like, what do you mean? Like it's been obvious. It's been pretty obvious that something was going to happen this entire time. So, we were just waiting to see what would happen. I don't know. How excited you are for that Stacks run?
Oh,
That solo
God.
Stacks run, huh?
Oh, I've got a
Right?
lot to unpick here. We've got a lot to unpick. I mean, first off, can we just say fair play for Stacks and Tony working as well as it did? NXT
True,
Tag Team Champions and all
true.
this lot. Um,
Because we
you know,
criticized it from the start,
oh
to be honest.
fuck
Like we made a
me.
lot of jokes about this from the beginning.
I'm looking forward to the vignettes between the two because that's all it will be. It will just be a feud of say, "Hey Tony, I'm still annoyed with you," but no family on the main roster. Who knows? We might have it, but like you said, Monty, now we can look forward to the Stacks versus Tony D. And if he's like Trick, he will beat his former best friend and win the NXT Championship. That's what he's on. um,
Tony
and the
D beat over Femi. I just want to remind you of that.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I'll give Dark State time, but the crowd loved Tony, and they actually cared for this. With the
Right.
"fuck you Stacks" chance, it worked.
And you know what? At the end of the day, that's what matters. Like as much as I can criticize, as much as we joke about stats and this whole entire love fest that they had for a while, and like you said, the fact that there's always been more vignettes than matches when it comes to them. Like they work. It works. It's been working. Like you said, the people cared, and that's cool. At least they weren't like I can say I didn't care for it. I wasn't interested in it, but like you said, the people in Vegas, the NXT fans, they seem to care. Even if like I said, it was coming from a mile away. As long as the people react to it and seem to really care about it, hey, at the end of the day, you be like, all right, job done. We did what we need to do. And like you said, Tony D sold it really well and all of that too. So like you say, it worked. It worked. It was, but even if I didn't really care for the entire match, and I kind of another thing too is I kind of feel for him because to me it was a cool moment, but did I need this on my stand and deliver card moment type of thing? That was the thing too. Like if he did it on NXT Tuesday, would you have been hurt? No,
No, no,
no,
no, no, no.
it wouldn't
But
have made a
again,
difference.
again, I don't think that it maybe would have gotten the reaction that it had.
True, true, true.
Um, because again, a lot of people watching, I suppose, NXT week in week out, they're just going because like extra ticket or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
again, they were shocked. So for that point, it worked, but we didn't care. Yeah.
Right, right, exactly. So,
Yeah.
again, I think it, like you said, it did what it was meant to do, and even if you seen it coming or whatever, I do think it was entertaining in that element of just once you understand the angle. of it all. But again, because I am a week to week watcher, I am wondering what's next. Like, how do we do this? Like, how do you make us care? I mean, it is a betrayal, so you can't like. I'm not saying it won't be interesting right off the back. I'm going to give them a shot to make me care, but like that's the thing. They're gonna have to make me care. I'm not just gonna care because I've been watching it. I've been forced to watch them for 2 years or something like
Yeah.
that. Like yeah, I want the angle to actually be worth it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. Because you never know. So I don't know, but overall, I give this 3 and 3/4. Like it was fine. I
Yeah.
do, the element of betrayal there did add something to it. So I thought it was cool overall, but yeah, good for the dark state.
Yeah. Well, again, Monty, you're forgetting about whose side Luca Crucifino will be on. I mean, Stack said he was going to ring him, so he's got to have his phone ready. So big questions to be asked. I'm going to give this a 4 just because of the angle and the reaction that it got. Predictions: we all went Dark State, so I'm on 4. Gina Jackson 3. Monty on 2. Hank and Tank when it viewed. And I tell you something. I mean, they say they're brothers now. Great moment, but how weird it is to see those tag titles on someone else's shoulders now, eh? I
Yeah,
just, I
man,
just
it's so
can't get
weird.
over it.
It's so weird. Like it's just weird, man. I've become so accustomed. Also, like I was reposting photos of Frazier, kind of reposting their photos with the championship, kind of seemingly that he was. I don't know about mourning, but he definitely was trying to he was posting stuff, and Axiom seemed to be taking this a lot worse if you go off his social media post. He seemed to be taking this a lot harder than Frazier seemed to be that day. Maybe Frazier is just not the type to mope around in it, but I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The funniest thing about it, they lose the belt, and I'm even more interested in what's next for them, though. Like that's the thing. It's like that's what happens when you do it when you complete a run like that that as happy as I am for the new tag champs, and I am interested to see what's next for our division in that retrospect. I'm even more excited for what could possibly be coming, from a storytelling standpoint from Axiom and Frazier, because like I said, they could be main roster tomorrow. They could be, you know what I'm saying? They could be
Yeah,
like I said, telling a beautiful betrayal story or back having tag team bangers whenever they want. So they're in a great spot if you ask me, because I feel like their value is probably as high as you can possibly be as a tag team.
without a doubt. Up next, it's the NXT Women's Title: Stephanie Vaquer versus Julia versus Jordan Grace versus Jada Parker, and Vaquer and Grace got the ring 1-on-1 and grappled back and forth. The Dark Angel almost took the win early with a rolling a Devlin clutch. Grace lifted both Vaquer and Julia out of the corner, setting up a blockbuster from Parker on both lifted women. Julia and Vaquer met in the ring where the beautiful Madness battled the Dark Angel into the mat with headbutts in a really cool moment. Parker planted all 3 women at once with the teardrop. She caught Grace in a leg trap, but Julia locked Parker in an octopus stretch. Vaca slipped in with a crossface on Grace, almost causing a submission. The crowd was calling for the Devil's Kiss for a while, and she finally hit it, and all 3 of her opponents won after another. Grace caught Julia with a juggernaut bomb, but took the hypnotic. Parker blasted the beautiful Madness with another hypnotic, but fell straight into Vaca's SVB for the loss. Monty, what are your thoughts?
Man, what a match, man! What a showcase too. It felt like. I mean, this is another situation similar to the ladder match, but even better to me because of just how prominent all of these ladies are. I mean, Jordan Grace is undeniable. The explosivity that she has when she does her moves when she was on top was incredible. I thought Julia brought a physical, element to the match. It had more headbutts and strikes and stuff like that. And when she had her moments, Stephanie is just, it doesn't matter what she does. We talk about not only her move set and just how good she is, but I don't know if I've seen this in a while when it comes to just whatever she's doing, the crowd is into it 100%. The pop for the Devil's Kids thing, which is so funny to me because I know people, by the way, it's to the point where Charlotte did it and they were crediting stealth. And I'm not saying it's not synonymous with stealth at this point, because it is. But like Charlotte's been doing the leg whip type of the head whip thing. She's been doing that for years. Like I don't, you might want to go back to like old NXT. Charlotte's been doing that for years, but that's how
Mm.
synonymous the move has become with Booker T and her at this point, And the same thing can be said for the fact that Julia used to do that in Japan, and now when Julia does it, she gets booed for trying. On Stephanie, but it was her move too. Like it's so funny to me how wrestling works when something just kind of sticks to someone, and now it's like, no, that is Stephanie's thing, even though it's something that a lot of women did. But I get it, like it's just there's an aura around. People are waiting for it now for it to happen, and then and then even with Jada, in my opinion too. I don't know if you noticed this watching this match, and maybe it's because all of the women that she was fighting here are kind of shorter. Jada look huge in this match. Like I know Jordan is like a short, like, but she's stocky, she's strong. I know that, but like Jada's height and just the size that she displayed and like the force in which when she would hit them, it was like, oh wow, okay, that this again. Every time so far, Jada has been put in these situations, whether it was the Roxanne match or whether it's the even the one-on-one match with Vakir on NXT, and then to this, she has really, in my opinion, impressed and done a great job. She did not feel like she didn't belong, and we got to think
Mm.
about who we think about what we like. We talk about Julie, we talk about what we think about Jordan Grace and what all she's done, and the same thing with Stephanie being who she is. And for Jada, in my opinion, to not seem like she didn't belong or not miss a step, that really bodes well for where Jada Parker really is, in my opinion. Even though she took the pin, she, in my opinion, is somebody now I'm looking at. Could Jada Parker dethrone Stephanie one day? Or, I mean, it could be any of these women in a one-on-one setting. Don't get me wrong, but like my point is that I didn't think that about Jada before this match. But looking at how well she did here, you have to at least entertain it because she seemed like a legitimate threat. So this was good, man. This is a really good match. Uh, I don't know. I'm not really sure where you go next, or like, do you just go to one of these women for a one-on-one shot? Do you? It seems like based on something that happened after the show, we might be going back to Roxanne. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But and what's next for Steph as champ? But like, she took out three prominent contenders. She was a double champ. She's on top of the world right now when it comes to NXT. Hell, she might just pop up on the Raw after Mania just to do a match. Cause why not? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like that's how big Stephanie feels right now, and that's the momentum that she seems to be carrying. So this was really good. Great showcase for everyone involved. I thought everybody had their moments, and I thought the champion retaining was the right move. And again, sometimes you just go with, like you say, the good old original of a multi-man match, sticking with the champion retaining. You just go with that. But I think honestly, you can't really ask for much more from these women because I thought everybody did great.
Yeah, especially, I mean, when this could have been the main event, as the main event of the last couple of takeovers as well. But you make a couple of excellent points there. Talk about Jada Parker keeping up with the talent and not feeling like she was, they had to slow down for her. She got the Miss Parker chance as well. And of course, the only NXT homegrown star who's got that going for her. As for the future, I can't wait for Steph and Julia too. But like I said, Grace and Parker with the winners facing there will be really good. And we talked about the knees as well. Booker was loving it. But the knees have gotten over big. And we talked about the connection, the fans, and now she's got a massive move. And this is what we're talking about. As soon as it hit that, the crowd are on their feet. But like I said, really, really good stuff. But you said what with Roxanne? What happened afterwards? Did I miss anything?
I'm not sure exactly where that aired, but like Stephanie was in her gear, the blue gear. She was taking like a photo shoot where it probably was just like a social media thing they posted. I'm not sure exactly, was it on YouTube or something, but she was taking a photo shoot with the title, and then Roxanne approached her, and then they kind of started brawling. They were cussing, or I don't know if they were cursing, but they were talking to each other in Spanish, and Ava had to break it up. So yeah, it got kind of volatile. Ava broke it up, so I don't know if that means we'll get a title match ASAP, or is she next contender? If so, I will expect Cora to be around, of course, because I think you can't really do what you just did and then just move on like you didn't do it. But
Right.
yeah, but that did happen right after the show.
Oh, that's cool to know. Yeah, exactly. We had a few pooters during the night, didn't we, in the women's matchup? But we'll leave it at that. Out of five, then, what would you score this matchup?
I give it 4.5. Also, I thought this was a really good match. I thought it was strong, great title defense overall. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. But I don't think it was the tag. I don't think it brought the energy or it had me on the edge of my seat the way the tag match did. And yeah, that's kind of like the only reason why I would probably rate it lower than that, than like 5 or 4 and 3. But I thought it was really good though. Again, I think everybody looked great, and I'm eager. I think we're still in really great hands at the top of our women's division.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I'm going to give it 4.5 as well. Predictions: the girls went for Julia, the boys went for Steph. So I'm on five, the rest on three. The main event, the NXT Championship matchup: Obafemi versus Trick Williams versus Javon Evans. Oba caught Trick mid Alabama slam on Evans and planted both men with a Samoan drop. The ruler caught them both in the corner and laid them out with a stacked vertical suplex. He then planted both with spine busters as well. Evans managed to lift and plant the ruler to set up an OG cutter, which Oba barely kicked out on. And then Trick took out the referee, and I thought, oh no, here comes shenanigans. But it wasn't. Oba finally decided to deal with Evans, send him through the barricade. Trick responded with a bookend through the announce table. He hit Evans with the Trick knee, but the ruler grabbed the leg of the referee to sew the count before breaking up. My only issue in this matchup, Monty, and we'll talk about it in a second, is referee pushing Obafemi. I think Obafemi sold that a bit too much because referee looked like John Cena in strength. But Javon Evans doubled up in the OG cutter on Trick and Oba, followed by a springboard corkscrew on the ruler. However, Trick caught the young OG with a Trick knee, followed the fall of grace by Oba to Trick and Evans to retain his title. Monty, Oba is your ruler. I can't believe you bet against him.
I mean, you're 100% right there. When it comes to betting against over. But my bet wasn't real. It had to be against over. But my bet was because, and this I blame the situation, in my opinion. I blame that on Sean because now I'm wondering why the hell the Dark State hasn't bothered my heavyweight title scene at all. Because they ended up not really having much to do with them at all. Like I guess like you can say they did the first attack, fine. If you say you're doing this to make a name for yourself, that first attack on Obafemi that they did, and then when they got Javon right there, that's fine. But to continue to do that and to continue to butt your head in this world title picture to not have anything to do with this main event, I'm not mad. I'm with you because you told me, James. You said it's a stand and deliver main event. I'm not. I don't want shenanigans. So I get that, and I'm not. I don't. I'm not mad or opposed to the fact that we, especially when you look at the end result, because to me, this is this is like again, WrestleMania Night One had one of the damnest triple threat matches I ever seen, and I don't know I don't even know necessarily yet where I'm at because James, you said you don't want the shenanigans. Well, that match had shenanigans there at the end. Even though it was like a good story, it was still shenanigans. This this was just a banger, bro, from the beginning to the end. Everybody brought it. Like Trick Williams was doing stuff that I ain't seen him doing his entire run in the ring. He was like he brought it tonight, and Javon, man, Javon is gonna be. He will be the world champion. I don't know if he's gonna be over for it. I don't know when. He's gonna be the world champion. That, and barring catastrophic injury or just whatever, a bad luck, he will be a world champion because like Javon is unbelievable. That was a special performance for that kid. Like they mentioned at the beginning of the match, he hadn't even debuted last year, and for him to look as like
Mm.
he was top notch in this match to me, and there was plenty of moments where he actually could have, did the unthinkable, and then of course Obafemi, unstoppable, unbelievably tough, strong, kicked out of so much stuff, but he's been built so well that it didn't seem like they were overdoing the kicking out. Like I remember, for example, I love Roman, but at times, especially when he was the big dog, he kicked out of some stuff where it was like, oh, okay, I get what you're doing here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not with
yeah.
Obafemi. Obafemi has been consistently so strong that him kicking out the stuff he kicked out worked so well. And he just seemed like he's such a badass. And so I don't want to. I did pick against Obafemi, and I deserve to get jumped on for that, and I get that. But my thought process had to do with why the hell, like, tell me why the Dark State got to be in this title picture. Why they kept messing with the title picture, pretty much up until like the last 2 weeks, until like Stacks called them out or whatever. And I'm not thinking about that to be much of a major uh problem for the Dark State. I thought the Dark State would make an appearance because they kept making an appearance in this storyline. So you're telling me most of that was for nothing? That's probably my biggest critique of it. Was that just seemed like that leading up to the build that was nothing. I'm not taking the points away from the match though, because the match was too damn good for me to even think about that, to be honest. But I'm just saying, if I have one criticism to try to defend myself for even considering it being a swerve here, it was because they kept getting involved in the main event title picture. Because if you ask me if this is the match we was gonna get, I don't need them involved in my title picture at all. Though. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, but the thing is, I think the Dark State thing with Trick still might happen. But again, I think it might just be one on one. I think this was just a showcase of just these three hugely talented guys, not with the Dark State stuff. I think we're still going to get that. Otherwise, like I said, it's just, unless it's just a real misdirect and it was nothing to do with that, but I think it will make
Right.
Trick more interesting because there's no doubt. I mean, they said it was his second stand and deliver main event Trick. And again, it is a shame he has lost so much momentum, even though, like you said, he wrestled probably one of his best matches that he ever had in the main event here.
No, this is the guy who fought Ilya right here.
Yeah.
This was dragging out Trick with. He was motivated, in my opinion, because again, like you said, like he just seemed to be on point. Everything was on time, and the same thing with, just like I said, Oba was as constant as he always. And you know what? That's fair. If you said it was just a showcase, I think it worked perfectly, in my opinion. And if they decide to do the Dark State thing later or whatever, then cool. I just jumped the gun because and that's
Mm.
fine. But again, to me, the match was so good, and I love when this happens. This is the only time really where I can be honest with you about this type of stuff, because especially when the girls here, I like to mess around, I like to ball, I like to tick them off and bother them about predictions. But when the match gets so good that, to me, I don't even care. Like at one, I forgot the exact spot, but at one point they were going so hard that it just was like, hey man, what's next? I don't care who win it. Like, yeah, could Trick win it? Sure. But what's they
Mm.
what they about to do next? Because it just kept getting better and better. They kept one upping themselves. And to me, when you had a big triple threat main event that last night, for them to put on a performance like that, and that to be, if not the best match I seen yesterday, probably the second best match I seen yesterday.
Yeah.
What more can I say,
But
man? And it was special,
the
bro.
the thing is though, again, and there's a couple of reasons for it. Again, it was just fun. Like I said, it was just a fun fucking match with everybody giving everything that we might not see. Again, it might happen on like a Dynamite or stuff like this, or Will Ospreay match, but
Right.
to happen at Standard Deliver main event with these three guys, and like we talk about with Javon, only 20 years old, but like we said, next in line after Tony D. But I think what's important here
Right.
again, and we've mentioned it, and I'll bring it up, is talking about representation as well,
Mm-hmm.
because it must be such a great moment for all those little kids out there watching this now, the triple threat match. And again, I'm sure the kid inside you, Monty, must be smiling.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, I know a lot of wrestling fans. It's people out there who like to say, "Oh, why you have to bring up, race, or why you have to bring that up?" And these just they're just three guys out there doing their job or whatever. And I'm like, that's how you look at it. Like, to me,
Mm.
to me, those one of those guys, that's my cousin. That's my unborn son that I don't have, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Anything that, like you said, that's I see a little bit of me, the child that wanted to possibly do this. When every child who gets into wrestling, for the most part, at least for until they realize how much it hurt, or how much yeah, it actually take, how much you got to actually give up to do it. Every wrestling fan, every child has that moment where they're like, nah, this is what I want to do with my life. And to have, like you said, to have that representation, to have three legitimate guys who in the main event feel like they belong there. They're not being shoehorned there. The angle made perfect sense why everybody was involved and why they wanted to be there. And just to see that and to have them not only be in that moment, because being in that moment is one thing, but to deliver and to actually give, like, again, like I said, if not the best match that I've seen so far in WrestleMania weekend from WWE, the second best match. Like, and I can make the argument that it's, like I said, I can make an argument that it's better than the other triple threat to me just purely from a shenanigans point of view. But like you said, this was just nonstop fun. Like, and everybody had moments where it was great. And I'm not saying it is. I mean, even Fraction's match, in my opinion, definitely is competition for this. But I'm just saying, to me, like you said, with the representation, with everything that was on the line, like I said, the continued stakes, and then, like I said, how everybody, in my opinion, got moments to shine, looked great in individual times. Like you said, it was a flurry in there for Javon. It was moments where it looked like Trick had this one. And then, of course, like I said, over now that not only at the end, but throughout the match, just being his dominant self. I just can't say enough. Like you said, it's definitely special. The kid in me was smiling. The grown ass man in me was smiling. Everything about it, man, was just beautiful for me. And you're 100% right, though, man. Seeing stuff like that, it's just like having my daughter watch Athena and Mercedes Wednesday. Like, whenever we get these spotlights and these moments and this stuff, or Jade and Naomi yesterday, or something like
Yep.
that. Whenever you have these moments and have that time where we are the focus, and like you said, you can just motivate or possibly inspire the youth to see people who look like them, do this and live out their dreams. It's special, man. It's very, very special. And I know some people I know some fans or whatever don't really like when people bring that up, but to me, that's y'all problem. Honestly, I don't
Yeah.
know how y'all don't do it. Y'all got so much representation. How do you not look at
Well,
the many white people that's in this sport and be like, oh, that's really damn cool. But that's me. That's how I look at it.
yeah, well, the angry white people have got Trump. Like I said, that they can have him.
Ah, yeah,
I can do my representation watching Drew McIntyre.
right.
Again, I've always wanted to be inside Drew. We'll move on. You know what I mean. Obafemi, though, one thing about Oba, because we talked about Trick, great performance, Javon, great performance. Obafemi, man, he's getting better and better every week. Like, I,
Mm-hmm.
I, I don't want to compare him, right? Because again, it might sound a little bit stupid, but the comparables to him and Brock Lesnar when
Yeah,
Brock came on, and again, Oba, the way he is to come on the main roster, go straight for like a main title, you wouldn't put it past him because this man barring again, we've said it before, barring injuries or something fucking Velveteen Dreamy. Do you know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? He
Yep,
he is there. And it's great to see, because I've loved him from the fucking moment I saw him.
yeah, yeah. What a home run! Like you say, just like what a home run guy, what a home run character. Like you say, everything about it is just right where you want it when it comes to over. And the biggest improvement to me that I've seen for him, especially in this match, it's the facial expressions when losing or when possibly being beaten, or like the selling. Like, when he made that save after the whole referee kicked him off thing, and the way he dived on them, and like the face he was making of like damn, that was close, and like the exhaustion. Even after the match, when he hit that power bomb at the end, instead of looking like his normal confident, self, over kind of laid back with like a resolve, like,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was close. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
like,
he was fucked. Like
like
all of them
wow.
were. Like that's
Right,
yeah.
right. Like, that's what I love the most about it. Like, you can tell that the way we all felt as fans watching it and not knowing who can come out and bring it out on top, they all sold it that way in the ring too. And Oba's facial expressions, and like I said, his progression in that element, that is something that is really great because again, it's one thing. It's easy. It's kind of easy to play that dominant role, but to be somebody so big, so dominant and powerful, and to actually display being threatened. Like, that's one thing that I thought as Brock got older, especially Brock got better at that too. Like, I never forget when Brock fought like Daniel Bryan or even AJ Styles, and how the best parts of those matches is when Bryan Danielson would actually start making a comeback, and
Yeah.
even Brock started to look like he was possibly going to lose. And like the fact that you can get that across, that really works in my opinion for the dominant types like an Obafemi. So yeah, man, he's special. Like you're 100% right. Like, I love Jay Uso, I want Jey Uso to run with the belt. It don't have to be 360 days, but it'd be nice if we can get a nice run. But if Obafemi is the one coming to Raw and he's still champion, I would not be mad if Obafemi came and annihilated my Uso, and I love Jay. So
hmm
I'm just saying, whoever it is, it don't matter if it's him, whoever the guy is. I think Ova will be a perfect person to pass the torch to in that dominant like way. So I don't know when or who, like I said, when that shake out, they can continue to run with Obafemi on top of NXT if they want to, however long they want to go. But Obafemi is just he's one of them. Like you said, James. Hey, I get it. I trust me. I don't like betting against Obafemi. So far, the two times I've done it, he's proved me wrong. So I get it, man. I don't like doing it. Sometimes you try to take a risk, you gamble. Hey, it's day in Vegas. A lot of people lose a lot of money over there every year, and so I crapped out. But what a special match! Because like after you just sit back and you be like, man, that was so much fun. And kudos to everybody, man. Like Javon, the future. If you want to say Trick Williams and Oba is the present or whatever you want to say it is, I think all three of these guys have bright futures, especially with performances like that.
Yeah, without a doubt. So out of five, then Monty, what are you going to score it?
Like I give it a 5, man. This and that tag team match, man. That's the thing that I recommend. If we didn't do it enough justice here talking about it, go watch it for yourself. Like special stuff, man. NXT at its best.
Yeah, and again, I was going to give it a 4.95 because of Fraxin, but again, I always say that there's different factors going into a match. It's the situation, it's the setting, and to be NXT's biggest show of the year for these three guys to deliver, then yeah, it's got to be a 5-star matchup. Predictions: Monty and Gina went Trick, Jaxie went Javon, I went Oba. So final scores:
Yeah.
Monty, Gina,
I
Jaxie
definitely
on
should have went over if I
3.
knew everybody went against over. What the hell we think?
But this is the thing, Mon. This is why it really annoys me. You either get like half right or you get like 12 out of 12. There's no kind of middle
Right.
ground. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yep. Exactly. That's exactly how you either feel like I felt after the AEW show or you feel how I feel right now. There's no in between at all.
There's no, there is none. I got 6, but again, the fucking didn't get a perfect score, did I? So the prediction league after Stand and Deliver, Gina's on 8, Jaxie's on 10. I moved to 12, a point behind Monty. But of course, if I get both WrestleMania nights as well, along with
Yeah.
Stand and Deliver, it will be a bonus point.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we'll do match and MVP. Match for me, I'm gonna say it was the tag team match because I'm
Yeah.
biased towards Fraxium. Monty.
Yeah, man. Again, I'm not gonna argue with you there. I mean, I'm gonna go with the triple threat just to give them both their love, but
hmm
they're both as good as it gets to me. So if you want a tag match, you want to put over a new team, make them feel special. I think your pick is great. And then if you want just a display of just excellent, wrestling and like intensity and energy and three main eventers just really solidifying themselves as just one of the best NXT main events I think that we've seen in a while.
Yeah,
I don't know, not
maybe
just great.
ever. Like
Yeah, it
again,
could be
not
up
not to
there
just.
with some of
I
those
know it's
takeovers.
yeah.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
know
it's
it's
up
kind of
there.
recent bias and stuff like that, but again, yeah, Cole and Gargano and those type of matches. So
Right.
MVP, then I'm going to give it to Stacks. No, I'm not. I'm joking. MVP, I'll give it to Javon Evans because again,
Yeah.
like I said, I give it Fraxium. Javon, we all know a great trick. We all know a great Ober is, but I think
Mm-hmm.
even we talk about facial expressions and that kind of that toughness that you need to make it to the
Yep.
next level. I think Javon showed it in space tonight.
Yeah, I like that pick. I'm gonna go with Saul Ruka. You can give her the MVP. Because again, I don't think I've ever seen like a showcase like that, like the last 2 or 3 minutes of that match
Yeah.
was for her in that latter match. I thought that was special. But Javon is an awesome pick. Like I said, that is a future world champion right there.
Yeah, without a doubt. I say tonight because I watched Stand and Deliver today. I know we both watched it probably different ways of doing it. I crammed it in this morning after WrestleMania Night 1. So I'll still think today. And again, it's pretty recent, isn't it? So I'll give it that. So score out of 10 then, Monty. What would you rate Stand and Deliver 2025?
Uh, I have to give it like 9.25. I think this is really, really strong. Maybe like I said, you could take out the dark state match, and then I think you have like a really strong main card. But the pre-show match was what it was too. I'm not really factoring that in too much into my score. But if I did factor those two matches I didn't care for in, then you maybe could go like 8.5, 8.75. But I'm gonna stay high because I feel like two matches that I think are pretty much as close to perfect as you can get, if not perfect, for what they were meant to do. And then I thought we had a crowning moment, pretty good showcase for Toruka and the other lady. And then Stephanie Valkyrie being really, really great. Ricky Saints establishing himself as North American champion. That's a really strong card, if you ask me. So my score may be a little high, but I'm really high on this show right now. Maybe if you ask me in a few days, it could be lower, but right now 9.25. That was a fun show.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9.25 as well. Like you said, really, really good stuff. And the thing is, Stand and Deliver, we talk about it, what it means to us to watch NXT, but you can tell with the talent what it meant to them to get out there and to perform. And, again, you can say, oh, what match wasn't better than another, but everybody really did try. So, yeah, 9.25, a really good NXT takeover. Yes, I say takeover because I'm really old. Finally, before we go, Von Wagner has made his debut in Ring of Honor. Now known as Carl Bloom, he teamed with Dion Russman. Yes, Dion Russman against Gates of Agony. They obviously lost, but I expect Ring of Honor to go out of business within 6 months now, Monty. That better be fair to say,
Good
wouldn't it?
luck, good luck, Von. That's all. Good luck. What's his new name?
Carl
he probably.
Bloom, the
There
catchy,
you go.
catchy, catchy Carl.
Good luck, Mr. Bloom, because I don't know how much. Yeah, you don't want to go by Von Wagner at this point. Too, we have slandered that moniker to death at this point. So, good luck to you, man. I was hard on you for a long time. Most likely deservingly so. Maybe we can
Mhm.
send Brooks Jensen to you at some
Oh,
point.
come on. That's the dream. That is the dream, son. That's what we want. So that is it. Don't forget across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Podcast at Pod James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Also now on Blue Sky, WNR Podcast and Reddit. Monty, do you want to plug your stuff?
Yeah, at my Monty Pod, like you said on Twitter, I'm there defending Jay Uso's honor and doing among other things. I probably will be live tweeting tonight about night two. We'll see what happens, man. It's gonna be special either way it goes. I mean, if Cena goes down or if Cena wins, you guys will probably be seeing me tweet about it in some way, shape, or form. So, I don't know. I'm expecting a pretty fun night. I think night one, like we kind of said at the beginning, was like I said, mixed to good in my opinion. It had, like I said, it was definitely a mixed bag. So we'll get to see if this one can be more consistent.
Yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt, like you said, it's going to be interesting what happens. And I do appreciate you, like I said, pulling double duty this weekend. And not only this, guys, you should know anybody listening, 3 hour show yesterday, 2 hour show today, but also putting up with me during the chat. So that's like 12 hours you spent. And also tonight's event. Monty, it shows how much you love wrestling, man. Do you know what I mean? No, it just
Yeah,
shows.
and my lack of a life. Yeah, I think that's also what it shows. No, I'm just playing, but yeah, no, no, no. It's always a good time, man. It's always a good time. If it was a bother, I would definitely not deal with you as much as I do.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, send us an email to podcast at gmail.com and YouTube. The Dublin Podcast goes up at the same time on YouTube as do SoundCloud, but also now on YouTube as well. We're putting the live shows up. We've got the Stone Cold Stunner series, the short series that's going really well. We've got dream matchups and stuff like that. And also, we'll say, as of right now, we have broken the how can I put this, like record figures, shall we say, YouTube this month, beating the past couple of months as well, and we're on the road to 1,000 as well. So if you're on YouTube, subscribe there. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers before the WNR anniversary show. We're also Spotify and iTunes, but you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. That is it. Our next episode is WrestleMania next weekend. Like we said, Monty, we're not in a bad mood now, but I could be in a terrible mood next week if my streak comes to an end.
Yeah, man, we'll see. I think I'm already in a questionable mood, but I'll wait to explain why. But we'll see. We'll see how they go. We'll see how they go. I'm excited. You know, uh, it's, hey man, pick yourself up, Jake. You got this, man. You got
I
this.
got it. Come on. Your streak's alive. Streak's alive. Until then, I've been James Rowlands. I was joined by the mind of Monty again. Monty, thank you for joining us. We should say it would be another NXT update, I suppose, in a few weeks' time where we deal with the fallout from Stand and Deliver. But it was a good show, so it's worthwhile.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to do that, and always happy to catch up and stay ahead of the curve. And we'll see, man. Hopefully we're in even better mood about NXT in a few weeks. So can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, right down. And a great man once said, "It's one thing to stand, it's another to deliver." Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.